Melissa?
I'm interviewing with a comic poet.
Hi.
How do you go about writing things?
How do I go about writing poetry? Basically, it's kind of a daily practice for me. I have a journal, and I also draw in the journal, and I'll just start sketching, and I'll either start doing a few words or I'll start doing a few lines, and whatever takes over is what happens. And so usually it's an idea, something strikes me funny about the way I'm looking at the world, you know. It's like, what if I was looking out my sliding glass door and instead of grass there was, you know, a herd of buffalo, you know, and just start thinking about that. And then it's like, why did I think about a herd of buffalo just now? You know, that seems rather random. Why did that come? But what I find is if you keep writing, you find out why you were thinking about buffalo in a really weird way. And I think it makes for funny poems, you know. It's not necessarily just the idea of buffalo being there instead of grass. It's how you got there that makes it funny, you know, I think. And I like to follow that path and find out something I never knew about myself. So.
And then, what are some of your inspirations you like?
What's my inspiration?
Yeah.
For poetry? Basically, just being, the inspiration is that we see stuff and we may think it's just a regular thing I see every day, but when it suddenly opens up to me and I think about it in a completely new way, that is an incredible feeling, and I just can't get that any other way, and that's my inspiration every time. So I always want to try to get back there, and that's what inspires me and keeps me going. And if I haven't written poetry in like a week, I start getting antsy and feeling weird, and I just need to do it. It's just like a reflex. So.
And how did it feel doing
the literary death match?
How did it feel during the literary death match?
That was a really fun event because it's meant to be fun, and basically just people to have fun with poetry and writing, and that's what I'm all about. I really think people should be enjoying themselves and having a good time, and to be able to win that and kind of like be recognized for that kind of writing, that people will come out for that kind of writing. It doesn't have to be the most serious thing, you know, every time. That it's really heartening, and I think there's becoming more and more of a place for humorous poems out there, and I think it's fun to see events like that happening that encourage that. So.
We've got a pretty risque audience here at Mainstream Media. Give us a little sample of the literary death match.
Okay. This poem is called 1970. It's about the year I was born. 1970. I love people born in 1970, like me. You can see it in their eyes. Well, I can see it in their eyes. There's a knowledge there, a brilliance. Everyone born in 1970 is brilliant, but not a lot of people know this. Everyone born in 1970 is a bad promoter of his own talents. People born in 1970 hate 1969. Everyone knows that. 1969 took up everything. 1970 is like the day after a prom when people are dressed normal again and meet at 7-Eleven and feel stupid and hate their pathetic lives. B.B. Rebozo was featured on the cover of Life the week I was born. No one born in 1970 knows who the hell B.B. Rebozo is. They just like the fact that Bozo is part of his last name. There are no organizations available to help people born in 1970. Doesn't that show a lack of respect? People born in 1970 really like trees, evergreen trees, you know, the big, tall kind. They will stare at them for hours when they could be vigorously promoting an agenda for a better America. Everyone born in 1970 lives in Vancouver, Washington. Everyone born in 1970 lies. Of course, these are all gross overgeneralizations. Everyone born in 1970 can't get enough of gross overgeneralizations. But when I say everyone, I'm just talking about myself again. Everyone born in 1970 talks about himself too much, then worries about it all day, but at the same time doesn't do a damn thing. So maybe that's the problem. I don't know. You figure it out.
That is awesome.
Glad you like that. That's the kind of poem I enjoy writing, where you just kind of wholeheartedly lie. But I think it's good to recognize the fact that you're lying at the same time, and then you're like, why am I lying? And it's just a big fun circle.
Yeah, well, that's how, like, great ideas come about. It's like, I love, you know, listening to people who are funny and have different aspects on life.
It's true. Otherwise, we don't progress if we don't come up with new ideas. So it's always good to keep them coming, I think.
And what is your favorite poem that you've written?
What is my favorite poem I've written? The last poem I've written. It's always the one I'm writing that moment is the poem I'm always my favorite. You know, the one I'm working on at that moment, that I just came up with the newest, freshest idea that I never thought of before, and I can't get up from the page, and I keep having to reread it, and it just makes my day, and it's such a great feeling knowing that I created this, and I made myself feel good by just writing, by the act of writing and what I can think of. And so to me, that's always the joy. And then in the poem, a well-accepted poem at a reading is always a huge, because when you feel the other people that you're reading to catch that moment of recognition too of something they never thought of before, and you feel that energy come back at you, can't beat that. That beats any, money or publicity or anything you could get for poetry. That to me is why I keep writing. Oh, I wrote this one called Why I Love My Garage Door Opener that I get a lot of compliments on. It's about growing corn in my garage and then falling asleep and playing a tape of crickets, but in the middle of it, when they had tapes, they would play and then they would flip over to the other side, and you used to get these nature tapes, right? So like crickets, but on the other side would be whales. So it flips over to whales and it completely changes the scene. So now I'm in corn listening to whales, and then I've got to figure out how I'm going to make this work, right? And it ends up that my garage door is one giant whale eye, and I'm the brain of the whale.
Oh, wow.
So that I get a lot of. That one's been reprinted and talked about the most. It's a weird one.
Did you ever have a poem published that you wish you hadn't?
That I wish I hadn't or had? That wasn't published?
Sorry,
Have I ever had a poem that I had not published that I wish I had?
Actually, the question is, did you ever have a poem
published that you wished hadn't been? Yes. There's been a couple where I thought, oh, that wasn't good enough to be published. And they're like some of the first poems I published, where I thought that wasn't good enough to be published. So luckily those were very small magazines that never went anywhere. But I'm pretty happy with most everything I published now. So.
That's awesome.
Thank you, Melissa.
You're welcome. It's been such a pleasure talking.
It's been a great pleasure as well. It's been one of the funnest interviews I've ever done.
That's awesome.
Really, I mean that. That was really fun. I usually don't laugh in interviews, so I'm having a good time. So, thank you.
You're welcome.